everybody. Welcome to this episode of Mission Control. This is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands. We've got an exciting episode for you today. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ta'Quan Zimmerman, founder of Be a Baller, Not a Bully, Incorporated. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I also want to introduce your brother, Duval Zimmerman, who is the COO of the foundation. How are you?
Fantastic.
Excellent. And back by popular demand, we have Mr. Kevin Atterbury on the soundboard.
It's a triumphant return.
Yes, the triumphant return. The prodigal son has returned.
Right.
So, Ta'Quan, you've been through, and so has Kevin, been through a share of adversity, you know, and pushing through. Talk to us about how powerful that is to kind of, you know, the power of resiliency, not just in business, but just in life.
Oh, man. First of all, like, you know, the power of resiliency and just faith and believing in yourself is, you know, something that can take you beyond more than you can, you know, ever imagine. And sort of like with myself, I mean, like just believing in yourself and just waking up every day and attacking your dreams or your goals or whatever that is, aspirations that you have, just being able to wake up and attack those with, you know, with good habits daily, you know, having a plan, having a structure, having discipline, like, you know, those things could really set you up for, you know, a great future, you know, and whatever that is, you know, whether it's something that you initially dreamed of or maybe something that spun off the dream that you thought you were going to be able to accomplish, it's still something that you enjoy and something that you're able to be successful at because of the habits that, you know, you've created, you know, for yourself.
Right. I think that's a good point of distinguishing goals versus habits, because everybody makes goals. Like, here are the things I want to do.
Yeah.
But no one really talks about the steps it takes to get to those goals and habits, your daily habits.
Right.
Define that. What's your, do you have a morning routine?
Man, I wake up, as soon as I wake up, you know, I'm probably drinking, you know, a liter of water, you know, right away.
As soon as you wake up?
As soon as I wake up, a liter of water. I got to get my metabolism going, you know? So a liter of water, as soon as I wake up.
Listen up, folks. This is an NBA athlete here dropping gems.
You know, I pray.
So it's not going for coffee first thing.
No. I'm actually not even a coffee guy. I'm not a coffee guy at all. So, you know, it's water and I pray. You know, obviously, you know, thank my man above,
Yes.
you know, our Savior for allowing me to see another day. So those are the first two things that I do, you know, every day when I wake up, for sure.
Little meditation, or do you count the prayer as meditation?
Man, just prayer. Just straight, you know, just straight talking to God, you know, from the moment I wake up and just thanking him for, you know, allowing me to be able to talk to him again. Because there's some people that didn't wake up and have a chance to talk to her again. So,
Absolutely.
just another day, you know, to be alive.
Absolutely. I talked to mentor a bunch of different, you know, young entrepreneurs that reach out, and sometimes that prayer is what quiets your mind. And you can actually listen, because I think a lot of us, whether you're diagnosed or undiagnosed ADD or ADHD, we have all these ideas, but you can't do them all effectively. And I think when you meditate in prayer, there is an opportunity where you can hear back what is God telling you to do, or what is the universe telling you to do, but you can't do that. And a lot of people think prayer is like one way, like I'm just asking God for this, I'm asking God for that.
No. I thank him before I ask him for anything.
Amen.
You know, I thank him before I ask him for anything, because if you don't do anything else, he's done more than enough. So, you know, I'm just grateful for, you know, just life in general, just life, you know, whatever it is that I have. Obviously, all these blessings that he's allowed me, you know, to have and that he's given me is, you know, is another thing. And I'm extremely grateful for it, but just breath of fresh air, just life.
Yeah. What do you do when fear creeps in?
Talk to God, you know, and I just ask him to just keep me sane, you know, keep me level, never let me get too high, never let me get too low, you know, because a lot of that, you know, when you're trying to accomplish something, you know, sometimes it can become an emotional roller coaster, and that's what you want to stay away from, you know, because just like, you know, again, there's going to be good times, going to be bad times, going to be highs, going to be lows. You just got to just stay the course, you know, stay level, and, you know, everything's going to be all right.
All right. Duval, you the older brother or younger brother?
The older brother.
You're the older brother.
Yeah.
So do you take advice from Ta'Quan on these strategies, or do you have your own method?
Well, it's kind of similar.
You know, I'm very, very routine in how I start my day or how I plan.
Mm-hmm.
I think like the habits are crucial. One of the main habits to me is like consistency. So I like to be like, you know, similar. I wake up in my mornings, I start my morning, I'm really leaned into being grateful, just like prayer, being grateful for what he's given me yesterday and what he's going to do in the future.
Yeah.
And I'm calm in that space. So I wake up and start my day real similar. And then I get into my checklist. Like I'm a schedule guy. So I see what I have to do today and what I didn't accomplish the day before. I try to double down on that and get started real early. I'm a 5:30 in the morning kind of guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to share something about, because Kev, I definitely want to hear from you as well. But there was a moment. So Kev, prior to his accident, was not, I would say, not the most religious person. Right. And I remember going to visit Kev because Kevin's highly intelligent. So highly intelligent might think there's aliens, there's
anything is possible.
Anything,
no, for sure.
anything.
So
you could have a discussion about any topic with Kev, and he'll give you a run for it. And I remember when I went to see you at Gaylord, he was at a rehab center. Gaylord's a rehab center, and he was in the rehab center. And I went to go to his room, and when I went to the room, it was like Lazarus, because it was all I saw was like a bed, and I had last seen him in like a coma, so it was just a bed with like the blankets and everything, and it was like he is risen, you know, like Kevin is not in his room,
right?
But I didn't.
Where is he?
Didn't know where he was. I didn't know where he was, and so I went back to the nurse's station, and I was like, he's not in there, so. Which is a good sign, but I'm also wondering
where is he? Where did he go?
And then they point me out to like, oh, he's out in the courtyard. So he was out there getting some sun, and I looked out the window, and he was out there, and I was so excited to go out there and spend some time outside with him. And I remember asking you, Kev, what when you were in the coma, like, did you see anything, hear anything, like see the light, see a tunnel, like talk to me, because you know we didn't know if he was going to make it. It was that scary.
He was telling me.
And Kev looked at me. Remember, he says, I don't know what it is, but there is a higher power. You know, and you said that with such conviction.
Yeah, well, it was interesting because a lot of it felt like going to sleep and waking up, but I woke up so calm. It was funny because one of my doctors comments on it. He was like, I kind of see you in the ICU. And he was like, you were so calm and like happy and smiling at the time. And I'm like, I don't know why. I woke up, and like you mentioned habits. Part of it too is a good mental habits, right? Because like you can be in your day to day, like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm drinking water and praying, but also just having those mental habits like you said, not getting too high, not getting too low, not letting things, because your brain's like a muscle. You have to exercise it. So it's not just something that's going to happen overnight. But
that's another thing you said during that visit was like physically, the physical part wasn't the hardest part. It was
not at all.
It's always the mental.
It's always
the mental.
But I was thinking things that happened to me in the past that at the time seemed like, wow, this is terrible. If it wasn't for those experiences and those things, I don't know if I would have been able to handle this the way I did. And then also, like I said, because the sense of calm I had when I woke up, even though I was like really messed up, that was, like I said, that where I was like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. This is unexplainable. But between that and then just having those mental habits and framing it of like, I'm not going to focus on what's wrong with me. I'm going to focus on what's right, you know, because at the time it was like, oh, can't walk. It's funny because I had to ask the doctor, I'm like, do I have on my toes? I can't feel or see them. And he's like, yeah, they're all there. But it was like, I can still hear, so I can still listen to music. That's great. I can still do these things. And then it was great because focusing on what I could do as things started healing and now it was like, I didn't lose anything. I kept gaining new things. I kept gaining like
a gratitude list.
Yes. It's like, oh, I do have on my toes. I do have my fingers. Oh, I can move this, you know, I can sit up. I can eat. I don't have a special diet. And then it was just constantly wins instead of focusing on, oh my God, I can't do any of these things.
The positive mindset, because I think our instinct is to focus on what we don't have. You lose sight of everything you do have.
Like you said, at the end of the day, you woke up, you're here. That should be the baseline.
That's it. Anything else is bonus. It's extra.
Right. So we're going to get into those habits a little bit deeper because you've built an amazing foundation. You played in the NBA. You've been through your share of adversity. We want to hear all about that when we come back right after these words.
Ever tried paint and sip? Well, this is Paint and Kicks. Kicksmith Studio was founded by a group of sneaker enthusiasts with the goal of sharing their love of sneakers in a new and creative way. They believe that sneakers are more than just footwear. They are a form of art that reflects self-expression and culture. Their goal is to provide a fun, inclusive, and innovative space where anyone can explore their artistic side and create something truly unique. Kicksmith Studio is one of Peralta Design's most recent brand launches, and they are a great place for team and corporate events, birthday parties, or date nights. For more information, visit kicksmithstudio.com.
We want brands.
And we're back. Please join me once again in welcoming Ta'Quan and Duval Zimmerman from Be a Baller, Not a Bully. Ta'Quan, the fans are going crazy. You're used to that, man. You played in the NBA.
Yeah, man.
What were the fans like?
Fans is incredible. Anywhere, overseas,
Yeah.
college,
Yeah.
Anywhere in high level,
Yeah.
man. They do some research.
Right.
They try to get to you, man, for
Yeah.
sure. So you got to really be locked in. And
You be hearing some heckling and everything?
oh yeah, you
Oh,
got to
man.
tune that out. You got to tune that out, man, and just really lock in on the game because they say some
Yeah.
incredible stuff.
I
to
don't.
You, man.
Here's something that's always. There's something that's always. Yeah, because they're trying to make you crack, and you're on film.
anything to make you crack.
And you're like, if you do or if you react in any way, that's all over the social media. Like,
Absolutely,
the
and
news.
you just got to just be focused on my assignment. Like I got to make
Right.
sure I know like what action we're running this next possession.
Right.
Or, make sure I'm getting back on defense. I
Right.
can't be worried about what they're saying.
That-
but
that-
we're
that's
human.
crazy.
You hear it.
Yeah,
you hear it.
you
So
do.
if they say they don't, you hear it
You
for
hear
sure.
it.
But it's just having that mental toughness to kind of
Yeah.
just tune it out and stay locked in.
I always
on the
wondered,
assignment.
like, and this is across all sports, but I've always wondered when the athletes are like going to the crowd, like make noise, but then they have to do something that's really, really difficult, like make a free throw or I don't know, make a, kick a field goal or whatever. How do they not get distracted? How does that energy translate into helping you do what you're about to do?
So to be honest with you, like when I played, I was more of an emotionless guy.
Okay, more stoic, like
Like I, just my pregame. I listen to more calm music for pregame, like gospel, R&B. I kind of
Okay.
slow and calm myself down.
Yeah.
And the game, when I'm hitting big shots or whatever, I'm still just keeping that straight and narrow face. Like I'm not screaming and yelling and stuff like that. Like I've always been that way, and I don't know why, but I think I perform better when I'm calm, not when I'm hyped up.
Right.
But everyone's different.
You're not
you
running
need,
up the court like
people
punching
need to be
your
hyped.
heart
They need
and
this,
stuff.
they need DMX. They need,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. That's just never
and
been that.
let them out, let them out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's just never been me. Like
Super
that's
jazzed up.
like like give me like some Marvin Sapp or something. Just let me just relax and go over my
I
scout.
don't look like what I've been through.
Yeah, go over my scout and make sure I don't miss any assignments. Coach is gonna be on my ass.
Yeah, because when you're on the sidelines, how complicated are some of these plays like that they're giving you? Because that play by OG, the tip.
The tip.
I mean, that was insane. But are these drawn? How many of them are drawn up, and how many of them are?
I don't think that was drawn up.
Right,
I think
that's
that was just a missed
Just-
box out assignment,
yeah.
and he was just like, he's a winner.
Yeah.
So he went and he believed in himself. So he like the game is not over till it says 0, and that's like a great
Yeah.
example right there
Yeah.
because just him. They fought all the way to the end.
And talk about stoic. Like he's probably.
Man.
I think he's maybe has Asperger's. Or, like he's that unfazed by everything going on. Like
Yeah.
when they asked him like how was it? What was it like to throw in the ball and then make the winning play? And he was just like, it was cool. Like he was just so like calm about it.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the secret to his success.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, everyone is different. Everyone is different. Some people can't operate like that. Some people need,
They
like I
can't.
said, need that.
They need that hype.
They need to feed off that
Yeah.
crowd energy.
Yeah.
But I'm so locked in. It's like if the crowd is going crazy, oh shoot, they did. Like they're going crazy. If it's silent, doesn't matter. Like for me, the goal is my assignment on the basketball floor. So
Yeah. Well, you've had an incredible journey. You bring in this basketball tournament to Shelton. You've created this foundation. But take us back to young Ta'Quan and maybe where the nucleus of being an athlete and doing all this good work came from?
Man, young Ta'Quan, then I didn't look like an athlete. You know, it probably could have been on a, you know, Hostess commercial or something like that. To be honest with you, and rightfully so, because I love, you know, I did love to eat.
Yeah,
I did love my cupcakes. I love my, you know, all that.
All
Twinkies.
the Hostess.
Yeah, I loved. Oh yeah,
honey bun.
Anytime I wasn't passing that up, every time. You know, but you know that was just part of the story. You know, that was part of the journey. That was the beginning. And you know, again, like just for me, just kind of like what we touched on earlier with the belief and the faith and, you know, and the perseverance and the resilience, you know, it kind of, you know, it triggered me, you know, just being, you know, a kid, you know, growing up in a drug infested neighborhood and, you know, a family of, you know, 5, single mom, you know, my father passed away when I was 9 years old, you know, unexpectedly, you know, that right there was, you know, a tragic, you know, you just come home one day and it's like, you know, your dad is gone. Yeah. You know, at 9 years old, it's, you know, it's pretty like, you know, could be devastating.
Absolutely.
You know, and there's like, you know, what you know, what's next? What do we do now? How do we, you know, make it out of here? Like, you know,
did Duval become like a father figure?
Oh yeah, all my, like, you know, all my older brothers. Yeah, I think it just we just grew really tight, really close, and just kind of just, you know,
real brotherhood.
Yeah, and just, you know, just had each other's back, you know, through it all, and you know, by the grace of God, kind of like what helped us, you know, make things a little bit easier for my mother. You know, just knowing that she could go to sleep at night, knowing that we're not out like doing drugs and, you know, committing crimes or anything like that, but we're really just, you know, focusing on, you know, being good people, good human beings, and, you know, trying to be the best that we can be at sport. At the same time, trying to find a way to navigate through life. So we kind of had to, like, you know, figure it out together. I mean, we're pretty close in age. You know, I think my oldest brother is probably, you know, 6 years older than me, but so we're pretty much
him a year older than me, but
yeah, it was pretty much, you know, close enough, you know, in age to kind of figure it out together. And, you know, just me as a kid in middle school, you know, being overweight and, you know, dealing with some, you know, forms of bullying and, you know,
getting picked on for being
picked
chubby.
on, being chubby, fat, like, yeah, you know, just different things.
Chubster, Chub Rock.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you want to call it. I think I've gotten called, you know,
Fatty, Fatso.
I like it.
Exactly. Every name in the book. When you know, trying to get with a girl, you try to say something to a girl, they're looking at you like you crazy. Like, I will never date you. Your fat self. Like, are you kidding me? You know, and it's like, all right, don't worry about it, because, you know, when I get older and I, you know, I make it pro, you know, watch what I say back to you type, right? So, you know,
wish.
Any of those girls come back when you were in NBA?
Man, couple of them.
Whoa.
Maybe more than a couple. I'm just being generous. But, you know, as they should, though, you know, because if you see where I came from,
right,
you know, it's something to believe in. Right. And, you know, that's really the moral of the story, is just like,
how you like me now.
Right. So, you know, yeah. But I do let them down a little bit more nicer than they rejected me.
Okay.
You know, so
take the high road.
Yeah, I'm not an asshole about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But again, you know, just focus on, you know, what I have to attack daily, and, you know, let that lead. But you know, just growing up, you know, as a kid, you know, I was cut from my middle school basketball team, you know, 3 years in a row. I went to North End Middle School, and I was chubby. You know, you know, every day, you know, during tryouts, you know, the first thing you do the next day, you run to that wall and see if your name is on that wall. You know, who made the cut.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd be running, out of breath, you know. I'm out of breath, you know, running to the wall to see if my name is up there. And it's like, you got some people like, yeah. Look all the way down. I can look at the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm a Zimmerman, so, you know, my name going to be last. So look down there. It's not there.
Speaking of, it just made me think, Z, that other dude was a Z. The big guy, the big ball player that he like blew up over the off season.
Zion Williamson. Yeah.
He was, you know, making a name for big guys.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's explosive though at his size. You know, to be honest with you, the amount of weight that he carries is pretty incredible what he can do with that weight. But you know, you also gotta just, you know, over time when you're playing at that level, you just got to start thinking about, you know, injuries. So
it's going to take a toll on your joints.
If we're gonna give you $300 million, we got to make sure we got you for 6-7 years, you know. So, you can't be sitting on the bench for
Right.
4 of them,
Right.
which has been happening.
Yeah.
He hasn't been playing much, but hopefully, he figures it out.
Yeah.
And I actually seen something on social media the other day where he looks in great shape.
Yeah.
Lean came all the way down. So, God bless him that
Yeah.
he do what he needs to do and
Yeah.
stay locked in.
So
for
did you
sure.
have folks around you that motivated you, or was it kind of more internally driven?
I think, one of my biggest motivators was, I did a guy by the name of Ray Brown. Came into my life. I was already playing like little baseball, like youth baseball and stuff from. And he helped me out with the opportunity to, to go to Holy Cross High School. And going to Holy Cross High School kind of opened my eyes a little bit. Those kids are a little bit more well off than a neighborhood kid. And going over their houses and seeing, what they have, swimming pools in their backyard,
Right.
big houses, cars, all that stuff kind of like opened my eyes like, man, like,
What's possible?
yeah, like I want this, like, like big rooms and stuff. Like, man, like look at all this
Like
stuff.
having your own bedroom at one point was like a big deal.
Exactly.
When
Your
when
own
come
bed.
from-
No, your own bed.
Your own bed.
Forget your bedroom, your own bed.
No, seriously.
Your own, your own bed. Like you're sharing a twin mattress.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Feet,
share
one
everything.
feet going this way, other feet going
Exactly.
that way.
Get your foot out my face.
if you move 1 inch, you're on the floor. And that bed was held up on crates.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there was, a lot of struggle.
Absolutely.
But I just think that was all part. Again, that was all part of the story, all part of the journey, and I'm grateful for it. It's the experience, because then that's when just hearing the how we had to live a little bit, trying to figure it out in the struggle, and then getting picked on in school a little bit. I had some friends. I was cool, but I also had those ones that that just wasn't the nicest. But that kind of gave me some motivation to want to chase my dreams and really give it a shot. Like just being cut all 3 years in a row. I'm like, okay, what am I doing? Like, why am I getting cut all 3 years in a row? It wasn't technically really like my skill set.
Yeah.
Let's just say, I was able to shoot because I was chubby, so that was the best thing I could do was shoot. But it was more so like, how can I start creating good habits and
Yeah.
getting a schedule and a routine and being disciplined, and so I could have an opportunity to be, a member of the basketball team or a good player, and that's what happened for me. I just kind of just one day just committed to myself, put myself first, as as they say,
Yeah.
and chased my dream.
I'm curious about that moment because it's oftentimes how villains are born. Like if you look at the Joker movie, like there are moments where you come to that fork in the road.
Yeah,
With all the bullying, you could have easily
absolutely.
become a bad guy, but something happened where you were like, I'm gonna really prove him wrong. I'm gonna believe in myself.
Use it as fuel.
Use it as fuel.
Absolutely.
Like what was that moment?
That moment was just like, just coming home and like, seeing like, my brothers and stuff, obviously, they were always behind me. So when I did face that negativity, at school or wherever, I could come home and at least be around, 4 or 5 guys that I know love me, right? So just having that balance and like, again, God, just growing up in church, having faith to lean on and stuff like that, really helped me believe that I could believe in myself,
Right.
if that makes sense. And that's, and that's
Did
what
you feel like you would let people down if you didn't do XYZ?
Kind of in a way, because I was like counted out already.
Mm-hmm.
I was written off already. So it's just more so like, what do I have to lose? Let me just let me just give it a shot. I need to go to college. My parents can't pay for me to go to college. So if I want to go to college, I got to get a sports scholarship. I got to get a basketball scholarship. So that was motivation in itself. And then once I started on that journey, to embark on that journey, and I started getting in shape, and I started seeing some success through basketball. That's what gave me even more, fuel and ambition and motivation, because it's like, okay, it never really was my skill set. It was more so like my physical, condition. So once I seen that was probably like the key that could turn this whole thing around, I started, diving into that more. And that's when I was going for runs and, believing like, I just got to be in shape. I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to outrun you. I'm going to be stronger than you, like that type of stuff, like physically. And then once my body started to change, that's when I started to just, pass people out, players out, people out, and I started to become like, like a star, like one of the best players in the league. So I started getting recognized. I started getting awards. I was in the newspaper. So now it's like, okay, I really can do this, right? And this now, I just started to just develop this whole like, okay, I'm not satisfied, I'm not content, and like, so when I was playing and getting these awards, and I started getting some college letters, from Division III, from Division II, and I'm like, man, I want to go to Division I. I want to do this at the highest level, Then I started getting some Division I letters, and so forth and so on. So once that started happening, and I'm like, man, I really could do this, and now I'm fully committed to it, and there's no stopping now, there's no turning back. So it's over. Like, it's, gloves are off. Like, let's do it. Yeah. Like, I'm ready. Whatever challenge come my way, I'm ready to accept it, and overcome it. So, and of course, you had your highs, your lows, I had bad games, all this stuff. So, but it was just more so just understanding the end goal, the end goal. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. So, I wanted to develop the good habits because I believe that it's the habits and me having instruction and disciplines is what's allowing me to pass out and be better than the competition. Because I grew up with a ton of talented guys, right? But they didn't really have the habits that I had. Like, they didn't wake up every day and run to the gym and, put up, 1,000 shots and then run back home. And then, like that, I was spending 8-9 hour days at the gym, down at the YMCA, and, they had to kick me out sometimes. So, I mean, that was kind of like where I labored at. And it's because, again, I was seeing success, and I just believed, like, so much wholeheartedly. Like, I was all in. Who
are some of your heroes? Did you like Jordan or Kobe? Or?
Yeah. I like Jordan for sure. I like Kobe. Just more of a local hero. Like, seeing someone like Ryan Gomes do it, was a big motivation.
It was more attainable.
Yeah. Like, he's from this neighborhood. He's from this city. Like, he can do it. I can do it. Just different things like that. So just.
Where was home, by the way? What was the hood you grew up in?
Oh, man, I grew up at a couple of different places, man. I grew up on, Long Hill. I grew up on Angel Drive up Bunker Hill, Cook Street. So, we've been around, the city. We was moving at one point. I think we was moving like every 2 months.
Something like that.
Yeah, we were moving a lot. You don't know why as a kid.
Yeah.
You don't care why, but it's just like, that's just, as you reflect on it, it's like, that's what was happening. I probably went to every school in the city. And, for whatever reason, that was, so be it. But, I think that's just all part of just the experience, right. That I'm grateful for, that allowed me to pour into.
It makes you who you are.
That's it. And I can share, these experiences and these stories with.
I think it gives you empathy too.
Right.
For the kids you're helping in this.
It gives you a full scope.
Exactly. So, that's what it is. And once, college, and now you got the college coaches, calling you and stuff like that. Now when I get into college, I'm hooping, and I'm like, well, I want to go to the NBA. I don't want to stop. Now I want to be a pro. I want to be a pro. So whatever I got to do to be a pro, I'll do it. So if I see these guys waking up running 7 miles, I'm going to run 8. If he's lifting 225, I'm going to lift 226. So it's like that's just what I developed. I developed that competitive factor that, I got to be better than you. And it don't got to be right now, but at the end, I'm going to get to my goal. And again, you got a lot of people, even your opponents, sometimes your competition is people that really can truly inspire you, inside, because again, you want to obviously be better than that, than that person. So that was inspiration and motivation in itself. So just being around people who cared and who really kind of had like the same goal as you was important, because it kept me on my, my P's and Q's, kept me on my toes, like stay sharp type of thing, So then, once I got a Division I scholarship, that was another, short goal that I got, from LIU, Brooklyn, it was just all things that, that added to the, to the faith part, to the belief part. And I knew that it's obtainable, it's attainable. So I just got to do the work and continue to just, chop wood, every day, accomplish small wins and small goals until I get to that, until I get to that journey. And, God is good. It took me all over the world. I ended up playing college basketball, in the States. And I also played in, in Canada, which was a shock. And I didn't know that was a part of my journey, but, the world is full of, surprises. Yeah. That's life, right? And I ended up going to Canada, Thompson Rivers University. And, I play a year there. And next thing I'm getting calls from all type of, NBA teams and scouts and, agents and stuff like that. And I had the opportunity to actually, I went to the, to the pros, from there. And even a school like that I went to, it was like, history. Like, I was the first person to ever, sign with an NBA organization, from that school.
And what was that process like? Did you go to the draft or did you get a call? Like,
Yeah,
how's that work?
so I didn't. I put my name in the draft. I put my name in the draft. For different reasons. Again, I wanted my profile, my numbers, my tape, my film to reach everyone's desk, every GM's desk. Because I wasn't the biggest name, right? But I know I had the game, and if I had a shot, if I had a tryout, if I had a workout, I know I could go in and prove, how good I am, in person. And I had the opportunity, to work out, with the Celtics. I worked out for the, Detroit Pistons privately. With Andre Drummond. That's when Andre Drummond just signed that big contract
with the Knicks. Yeah,
with the Knicks. But at the time, he had signed a big
with
Detroit Pistons, right?
That was a fun time.
And Stan Van Gundy, had just got the head job there, and I worked out privately with with him, because they wasn't sure what they had a guard at this time, Rodney Stuckey. They wasn't sure what Rodney Stuckey was going to do. He was a free agent. They didn't know if he was coming back, if he was, what they were going to do with him. So I was able to work out for them privately, and I had a pretty good workout. Coach Malone, they spoke to me after, and it was like, you're really impressive, right? And just kind of dove into me a little bit more, because again, I didn't have that big name.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, man, like you're really you're really impressive. Like we're gonna keep our eye on you and stuff like that. So honestly, if I was gonna get drafted or picked up by anybody, I thought it would be like the Detroit Pistons. Like that's what I worked out for them, and and in the Celtics. But like the Spurs called for me, the Magic called for me. I didn't work out for those teams, but like I was shocked. I was shocked to to get a call from the Utah Jazz when I didn't work out for them or anything.
Right.
So that was pretty pretty shocking. It was funny because I was actually like after the draft, I didn't get drafted, so I was just in the gym. Just keep my habits, working out, stuff like that, because I knew, praying, hoping, and working for my phone to ring. I pray, obviously I talk to God, but I do my work too to make sure I put myself in a position to
Faith
earn.
without works is dead.
Exactly, to earn that phone call, right? So that's what I was doing every day, and I was in the middle of a shooting workout when my phone rung for the Utah Jazz down at the YMCA.
Wow.
Absolutely, yeah. So that was like, it was like so surreal, like because I couldn't believe it. Like it's no way that the Utah Jazz just called me.
Yeah.
It was like no way. Like I just started I just broke down and kind of like I showed a little emotion.
You call your mom?
I cried a little bit. Yeah, I called everybody. After I finished crying, I called everybody. I was like, no way. They just called me and said like, they tried to get me. It was like probably like 11 in the morning I got the call. No, I'm sorry. Probably like more like 9:30, 10 I got the call. But they wanted me out of there that night. They were like, we ready to get you out here tonight, like
and
now.
Do you have an agent at this point? Do they? Because they sound like they're calling directly to you.
Yeah. I did have an agent at the time. It was this lady out of Texas, Deborah Crane. Yep. So she had called me.
They handle all your like legal stuff.
Yes, absolutely. So she was my agent. She called me and said, you have a phone call that's about to come through. And, yeah, and immediately after, while I was on the phone, heard that phone was calling, and it said like, Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm like, I'm like, what the Salt Lake City? So I pick it up, and like they're like, yeah, just can you leave now? I'm like, well, can I get 24 hours at least? What I had to make up something. I'm like, I want to share this with my friends first. Like, pizza party or something. Let's go for some burgers or something. If I had to get out of there. So, that was an incredible feeling.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now I want to get to the foundation because, life is like highs and lows.
Yes.
So you get to the Jazz, but then, the unexpected happens, and take us through that phase.
Yeah. So like, after that, I ended up, I was with the Jazz, and I was with them for 2 years. I ended up going overseas after. I know I played in China, I played in Canada. I played in Canada probably the longest portion of my career. I played in a couple of different places in Canada. I played in Halifax, where I spent 4 years in Halifax, and I spent a year in Cape Breton. But I also played in Asia. So I played in Mongolia. Mongolia, China, Canada, and with the Jazz. But my time in Canada was really, really special. And the reason I say that because I think that was the place that really, really embraced me off the floor. Coming into downtown Halifax, outside the arena, there's a huge billboard of me, like, hanging out the right side of the arena, and it's like, okay, they showing me love, like, what I mean? They like, this is what it's about, right? So I was able to really, gain a following from that. Just going into stores or restaurants or whatever, I'm always constantly taking pictures, signing autographs. And, again, just talking to people, and they actually wanted to get to know who I was as a person. Mm-hmm. So just being able to express my story like we're doing now, like who I am as a person and where I've came from, really allowed me to start that anti-bullying campaign kind of like abroad. And I was able to actually put on like anti-bullying, like speaking engagements and events out there. I initially first had my first anti-bullying event, Be a Ball Not a Bully celebrity softball game out there. And we include that, like, we included, politicians, firefighters, police officers, some of their Olympians, participated in that. And it was just like one just big community gathering that they said has never been done there. So they were very excited about that.
It turned into like a festival.
Like a festival. Like we had like rides. It was like literally like rides out there.
Bounce houses and cotton candy.
Like you would think you went to like Six Flags, like a mini Six Flags.
Contest. Wow. It was probably about 10,000 people for it.
Wow.
That was
and I think
that was crazy.
And I think a lot of it was, was due to just me not just someone who wanted to, stand up for the initiative or push the initiative. Because you got people that, start, breast cancer awareness, stuff like that, but don't have breast cancer. I was actually a victim of bullying, so it really resonated deeply inside with me, and I could tell firsthand stories and experiences.
Yeah.
So this is something that I'm extremely passionate about because I think going through that is what shaped me into who I am today. So you're not really talking to Ta'Quan, a basketball player and a professional, if the Ta'Quan, the kid, overweight kid that got bullied, didn't go through what he went through. Yeah. So it all
does it go into cyberbullying too? Because now you got like social media.
Yeah, now that you got to touch on that big time because that's happening at an all-time high now. Yeah. So the cyberbullying, the in-person bullying, and then too, like for me, and I get it, right? Just working with the kids now and being around kids. Like sometimes you get that saying, kids are just being kids, and I know sometimes it doesn't always come from a malicious place, when a kid is probably like just joking.
Yeah, because we all cracked on each other.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a survival. Like,
exactly.
You're huddling up in a circle and everybody just takes turns cracking on each other. That's different. Yeah,
and I've been a part of those. Yeah. Like, what I mean? I've been the focal point of those and laughing my ass off about it too. Like, right? Not really taking it, harmful.
Right,
but again, you never really
like,
know.
All right, you got me.
It's a good one.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, that's funny. Like, they can't even tell the next joke because I'm laughing too hard at the joke, you know what I mean? So,
100%.
So like, I messed up their whole rhythm, their whole routine. Like, they had a little script. I messed it all up because I was laughing too hard.
Oh man,
but
this didn't go the way I thought. That was he actually thinks it's funny.
Trying to take a jab, and now you laughing at the joke.
Like I got to get off stage in a minute. Like, can you calm down so I can say my next joke?
Oh man,
I just dominated it that way, right? So you're looking at me like, damn, man, I didn't think it was that funny. This ain't even my good joke, right? But like the cyberbullying is very important, and we got to be mindful of that because that can really drive people. The biggest thing today is like, I think the consequences are much more severe today.
Right. Suicide and all that.
Yeah, like 9-10-year-old kids.
That is sad.
Yeah. Like I'm partnered with a group in Chicago, Buckets Over Bullying, and Bronstein is the last name. Young kid, he was bullied. 13 years old, 14 years old. He took his own life. He was a basketball player, and it was and it's very it's sad because they the parents and everybody notified the school this is what's going on, and it's more so they didn't really take the actual step that they should have took to to tend to the situation and prevent it. They kind of like just the kid being a kid type of approach.
They ignored it or
Yeah, kind
downplayed
of.
it.
Yeah. And the kid ended up taking his life.
Jesus.
Yeah, buckets over bullying out of Chicago.
Yeah. So that's great. Let's talk about how this tournament came to be and how it benefits the foundation and how it's coming to Shelton.
Yeah, so the tournament came about because just me giving back to my community and running like youth basketball camps. I've been doing that for probably 8-9 years. And just being, innovative and wanting to continue to grow. I was thinking like, how can I continue to spread this message, across the world? Like, how can we continue to grow in different phases? Because you got the youth camp, which is fine, but how can we take it to the next level? And about 4 years ago, I decided to start like this, this Elite 20 Invitational. And what I wanted to do was I just wanted to invite 20 of the, the best players like in a region or locally or whatever, high school players that these younger kids that could look up to and that's inspired to be, good basketball players. Like let them come in and just do like a little all-star showcase game at the end of camp. Our very first year, we didn't have a girls game. Our very first year, we had, guys like Kyle Filipowski, who had went to Duke and now plays for the Utah Jazz, was a part of that game. Just that alone kind of triggered me to say like, wow, maybe that might be what this is. Like, I can have this invitational with the elite players, invite them, and these players will eventually end up in, either, high level Division I or, on TV of some sort or in the pros, whatever. But, that was the initial. But then, like, I'm like, okay, I had that game. I had Kyle Filipowski. Now, how can the next year be better than last year? And that's when I dug a little bit more into my contacts, my relationships, my phone calls, and said, okay, I want this person, that person. Like, who can I get to the best group possible to represent this brand and help me push this message, be a ball, not a bully? And as years went on, we were just able to just, recruit and get, the best girls, regionally, in the tri-state, New England, and some of the top boys, tri-state, New England. Like one of the guys that, that played in my event for 2 years was Abdul Torre, who's a big-time Connecticut high school basketball player who's now at Arkansas playing for John Calipari. That was the springboard, and now it sprung into, with social media and all that stuff, with the marketing and the NBA getting behind it. That's what it sprung into where it's at today. With now we're drawing in the number 1 player in the country, the number 2 player in the country, boys and girls. Yeah. So that's what, I'm grateful of that, because that's who's dominating the TikTok, the Instagram, this, like, so these kids are watching these high school phenoms more than NBA, to be honest with you. Because they do the TikTok, like this kid will have 35 points, he's going to Duke, and then he's going to do a TikTok dance that the kid is like, so they're gravitating, to that. And it's like, okay, that's cool. You have this reach, you have this audience, you got this kid attention. So can you help me tell them to be a baller, not a bully? And when I just genuinely, talk to these, high school players and I asked them to be a part of it, they're like, let's do it. Because, I've never been a part of something this big of this magnitude. That's actually, that's for purpose.
And the
that's
exposure
pushing.
they're getting.
The exposure with the NBA and stuff. And it's like, so it's kind of like, it's
crazy.
It's all coming together.
15 years ago, I was making, trying to make a little video highlight reel of my daughter playing soccer. To try to get her into good colleges. And, and it's now it's like these kids all have their own social media profiles and TikToks, and everyone has their phones out. So you're always creating highlight reels.
No, for sure.
It's a different level.
For sure.
But you mentioned this tournament. It's coming to Shelton, Shelton High School, August 11th. That it's somehow connected to Kobe's. Like there's kids that come from California, then they come to this one.
Absolutely. So, when you're dealing with the top players in the country, their schedule is completely booked. Yeah. There's very short time that they have open slots available to, and a lot of times that's the time for them to rest. But like, we have our date set, which is for, August 10th and 11th. But Nike Skills and Kobe Bryant Invitational is actually the 7th and the 8th. 7th, 8th, 9th.
Of August.
Right. So I spoke to Nike and spoke and communicated with the parents and the players. They'll be done with Nike, the Kobe event on the 9th, mid-afternoon, early evening. So directly from that, we probably have about 12 kids that's going to go from that, catch a red-eye flight to be here for 7 in the morning on the 10th. Yeah.
So they're already doing more than the next person's doing. They're already learning that if you want to get to that next level, you got to
do it.
You got to do
stay focused,
extraordinary.
Consistent.
You got to take extra measures to get to where you want to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in your kids, but again, you want to go to NBA.
Yeah.
It's nice.
You
got back to back.
It's going to be streamed on the NBA app.
Yep. Live streaming NBA app, NBA YouTube, all NBA digital platforms.
Yeah.
It'll be streamed.
Well, it's amazing that you've taken this. Making it your life work, taking your own personal experiences, helping kids, taking your resources. Maybe share how sponsors can get involved, how if folks can get involved with it, like where they can get more information, where maybe share all your social handles and things like that.
Yeah, so my personal social handle is Tootie. Tootie, Tootie, right on Instagram.
And where did that come from? Because I have not been comfortable calling you Tootie.
I don't even know, to be honest with you. I was
because I think of Tootie, facts of life.
Yeah, that's what
I think Kim Fields.
Right.
So I call you Ta'Quan. It's in your email. I see it. I'm not there. I don't. Maybe over time I can get more comfortable.
No, and honestly, it's just something that I grew up on, Tootie.
Yeah.
But as an adult, I don't really introduce myself as.
Hello,
Tootie.
I'm Mr. Tootie.
Yeah. I say Ta'Quan, but once they find out my name is Tootie, they're like, all right, I want to call you Tootie too. Everyone else call you Tootie. So
it must be a family thing. We all got nicknames like that. So it's kind of wild.
Junebug. And
all that. Exactly.
There's always a Junebug.
Yeah.
Whatever you could think of, especially when you're in trouble. Whatever comes to your mind, that's what your name is. You know what I'm saying? So
what's yours? Besides Duval, what's your other name?
Booby.
Okay. Booby and Tootie.
Tootie, there you go. Yeah. Right. So,
if I saw you guys walking down the street, I would not call you that.
Yeah.
By the way.
As a childhood friend, like my brothers, every single body that knows us as nicknames. It's kind of
to
difficult to introduce yourself as an adult. You ain't doing Booby.
Yeah.
So I'm more like how you doing Duval Zimmerman versus how you doing Booby.
So.
All right, so keep going with the with ways to get a hold of you. And
you can get a hold, my brother, like I said, who runs all of that department. He can speak on more.
You can absolutely get in touch with the organization or myself with sponsorship opportunities. Directly through my email, which is Duval Jr. DUVALJR@gmail.com. My social media handles is my Instagram is Duval Jr. Simple, real easy to find, but if anyone's trying to get involved with the social media, I'm sorry, with the sponsorship situations, I'm very open. Emails are readily available for anyone to get involved.
All right, and locally, Shelton PD is doing a lot of promotion.
Doing a lot of promo, yeah. But a lot of promo, centered around it, which is good. I'm grateful for the Shelton PD, and just for them to just take us, accept us with this. Like last year we had on the other side of the state, so. This year to come to the Valley, and it's just like yourself, being super supportive of this event and everything that's happening. I'm extremely grateful, and I just want to express my, gratitude to you. Absolutely, for getting on board because it takes a village. I can't do this alone. It hasn't grown alone, so we continue to need people that really understand what we're trying to do, and this is the mission. The mission is the message. That's the mission. The mission is the message. We're just trying to make it cool. But the mission is the message, and we need to let the people know that it's cool to do the right thing. It's cool to be a good person. So, it takes people like yourself, everyone to just come together and make it align so it goes smoothly and give it the best experience, possible.
I want to add that we do have sponsorship levels for anybody who want to get involved at. We could get unique, super unique. There's not a company, business, brand, small, or large enough for us, we can make it work.
All right.
And we definitely do encourage you because the event is free.
Yes.
Right? So even don't think, if I ain't got a sponsorship or if I ain't got this, I can't be able to know. You absolutely be involved.
Right.
Come out and be a part of the event. Experience is free. All you got to do is go online. Like even in our Instagram, it's in our bio, the Elite 20 Instagram bio, the link to get tickets, hotels, whatever. All the information is there. So if you think you need money to be involved, you're absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. Come be a part of it. If all you have is a voice, You know, we need that too.
Absolutely. Kids,
We need that too.
parents, cousins,
Excellent.
everybody come on. It's
Excellent.
going to be a great time, man. Great talent, great game, great environment, a lot of energy, a lot of excitement. I mean, it's going to be fun. Last year's was a sold-out crowd. Had to close the doors. A lot of entertainment going on, but quality basketball. So we want, like brother said, we want everybody to come out, enjoy, see what's going on, amplify the message, and just be able to experience what we're doing here and, you know, on the main stage.
Excellent. Well, Ta'Quan, Duval, or Tootie and Booby, thank you for using your powers for good and for helping our youth. It definitely takes a village, and we're honored and grateful to have an opportunity to help you guys pay it forward. So thanks for being on our show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mission Control. Until next time, this is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands.